Welcome on into the Old Aussie Rules YouTube channel. We've got another season preview for 2026 AFL season coming up today, and we're going to be looking at the Melbourne Demons. Everything you need to know about the Melbourne Demons coming up for 2026. It's going to be a big year for them, an interesting year. We'll see everything we know so far heading into the preseason. And yeah, what we can expect this year. We're going to take a look at their last few years. We'll take a look at all the ins and outs. We'll look at their depth chart, their best 23, and we'll wrap up with a little fixture analysis heading into next season. Oh, into this season, not next season. I've lost the plot. So yes, that's what we're doing here today. We're working our way through every single club in the AFL. So far, this is, I think, the 10th team, maybe the 11th, however many it is. We're going alphabetically. So every team alphabetically before Melbourne is already on the channel. The rest will be up on the channel by the end of next week. So make sure, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Leave a like if you enjoy this video. Leave a comment as well. Let me know your thoughts on how Melbourne will go this year, their best 23, all of that sort of stuff. Any information you have, share it around. Let's jump into Melbourne Demons 2026 AFL season preview. That didn't work, but we'll be there in a second. There we go. So 2025 was second down year in a row for the Demons. We had 14th was their final position at the end of the season. 23 matches, 7 wins, 16 losses, no draws. Averaged 82.7 points per game offensively, which was the 10th most in the competition. 88.6 points per game against, which was the 12th most in the competition. So not a terrible season across, like, in terms of scoring. There certainly were teams worse, but I think it was just a consistency factor. They did have quite a few close losses. I think they lost to Collingwood by less than a kick twice. So those sort of results do hurt a little bit when you're only winning 7 games. I mean, if they had won 9 or 10, they would have ended up like 10th to 12th. So, not that that matters. If you're going to finish in the bottom 9, you may as well finish as low as possible and get decent draft picks out of it. So yes, that was Melbourne Demons 2025 season. Let's jump in and look at their last 5 seasons as a whole. So last year, 14th, as we said, 7 wins, 16 losses. 2024 was also 14th, but they won a lot more games, 11 and 12. The competition in the AFL was very close in 2024, whereas last year the top 9 or 10 teams certainly gapped the rest, and that's evident there, with 4 less wins but finishing in the same position. 2023 they finished 4th in the home and away season before getting bundled out in straight sets. 16 and 9, 6th place finish. 2022, similar story, finished 2nd in the home and away season, 16 and 8, but got bundled out in straight sets and finished 5th on the ladder. Well, not on the ladder, but 5th overall. 2021, they finished 1st on the ladder. Got the minor premiership, went 20 wins, 4 losses and a draw, and held on and won the premiership in a seesawing matchup with the Bulldogs over in the West. Crazy that that's 5 seasons ago now. So since that day, they've played in 4 finals and lost them all. So they didn't have the best run after 2021. And it's hard to see them bouncing straight back up. But strange things happen. I mean, it's football. A lot can happen between now and the start of the season, let alone now and the end of the season. Obviously, we'll get into the ins and outs next, but that's where a lot of this story about Melbourne Demons 2026 is going to be told, I think. So let's have a look at that. Big amount of ins and outs, probably. I should have checked this, but probably very close, if not the most amount of list changes by any team this season. They have a lot of players there. So first of all, we'll go with the ins, the experienced players they brought in. Max Heath comes across from St Kilda. CJ comes across from Hawthorn. Brody Mychek comes from Collingwood, and Jack Steele joins them from St Kilda to strengthen up this midfield that's very much different than it was or has been any other season over the last 5 to 6 years. Draft picks, they had multiple high draft picks. They had pick 11 and 12 in the draft. They went Xavier Taylor and Latrell Pickett with those two. They got Thomas Matthews at pick 30. In the rookie draft, they picked up Riley Onley and Kalani White. And then as a Category B rookie, they get Oscar Berry. Leaving the team, all the outs, there's a few senior players there and that go to different clubs, and then a whole bunch of delistings. Starting at the top, Judd McPhee goes to Fremantle. Clayton Oliver goes to GWS. Christian Petrarca goes to Gold Coast, all three of them through trades. Charlie Spargo leaves the Demons to go to North Melbourne as a free agent. And then the rest are all delistings. Jack Billings, Kynan Brown, Tom Fullerton, Marty Hoare, Ollie Seston, Will Ferrell, and Taj Woden all delisted. So big changes. They bring in 4 senior players and 3 national draft pickups, as well as a couple of rookie drafts. And then they also lose 4 senior players to opposition teams. So it's a big change. Obviously, the midfield's their biggest area that's been hit, with Oliver and Petrarca both leaving. But they've kind of shored up a few different areas. Obviously, Jack Steele will go into that midfield role. Brody Mychek gives them an extra target in the forward line, which is certainly something they've struggled with over the last 3 or 4 seasons, pretty much since their premiership. And Luke Jackson may be leaving. A couple other outs as well. They also get Heath and Giaff. Giaff will probably play as that running defender for them, although we'll get into the depth chart shortly, and maybe we'll see where he's best suited. But yeah, big changes at the Demons. It's going to be an interesting year to see how they cope. Outside of St Kilda, probably like the most changes to the best 23 that there is in the competition this year. Obviously, we haven't done the St Kilda pre-season preview just yet, but we will get to that in next week. So yeah, back to Melbourne. A lot of changes. It'll be interesting to see how that affects them going into 2026. Obviously, I don't think too many people have massive hopes for them. They're doing a little bit of a rebrand, not just with players and changes in their list here, but they're also doing it with off-field as well. They're trying to rebrand themselves a little bit. So we'll see how that plays out and how that works for the Demons heading into 2026. Moving across to the depth chart. Little explanation here. We do a rating system here at All Aussie Rules. Every single player, every single game gets a rating and a position. That all gets chewed into a thing, and you get their player average for the year, which obviously you then put into a ranking based on their position. And then from that, top 10% of each position is elite, which are purple. The blue colour is top class, which is 10% down to 25%. Green is above average, and that's from 25 to 40%. Average is yellow, which is 40 down to 60% of their position. Below 60% is orange, and that's below average. And then your red did not play a game last year, but was on the list of either this team or another team. And then your other colour, is the pinky colour, which is your rookies. Anyone that wasn't on a list last year, but is now on a list. So not necessarily a rookie as such, but someone that didn't play last season. So starting in the defence for the Demons, that's where we're at the moment. Maybe their most consistent position, potentially, is their general defending line. 3 players, all reasonably well rated last year. Christian Salem was ranked 26 as a general defender. Jake Bowie was 29 and Trent Rivers was 35. Then you have CJ Giaff, who comes across from Hawthorn. He was 51. So he's still reasonably well ranked as your 4th general defender. Whether he plays wing or general defender, we'll see. I wouldn't be that surprised to see him on a wing throughout most of this season. Caleb Windsor, 82, and Blake Howes was 92. We need to see a bit more from them. Andy Munez Wakefield did not play a game last season, and then they have their two young players there. Xavier Taylor, pick 11, their first draft pick in the national draft this season, and Oscar Berry, who is a rookie listed player. Key defender wise, this is an interesting story because Stephen May currently, at time of recording, the last I've heard is he's not currently at the club. There's something going on off field, which I don't know. Maybe one day we'll hear what exactly that is. But at the moment, I think Melbourne are planning for him not to be there. Even if he was training, I don't know if they really wanted him out on the park anyway for other reasons. But we'll see what happens with Stephen May. He's obviously been a pretty highly rated key defender for many years now. And luckily for the Demons, they have a pretty strong key defence line as well. Because Tom McDonald was ranked 15, he will certainly go in as number 1. There, Daniel Turner showed some absolute class last year. I think he's going to be a really, really good key defender. And Jake Lever, as your third key defender, second or third, experienced. He's played it for many years. So they've got 3 still, even without Stephen May, that are really solid and should be getting games. Jed Adams, next. He wasn't ranked last year, didn't play enough games. And Luke Kentfield did not play a match last season. So that's the back line. The other end of the ground, we've got the forward line. Plenty of players here too, especially in the general forward lineup for the Demons. Kate Chandler was only ranked 17 last year, but the year before was in the top 3, I think, from memory. He's an absolute star and has the potential to bounce back into the top 5 or so general forwards. He's someone that can affect the scoreboard, but he can also move up the ground and get touches. He's a very handy player and very important to this Melbourne Demons. So I think him getting back to his best is pretty important for this Demons side. Jai Cully was a mid-season draft pick last year and rated pretty highly, 84.6 average. Unranked because he didn't play enough games, being that he only joined the team in the second half of the season. But showed some good signs that he's matured enough to be an AFL player. I don't know if he'll be rating as highly as that this season, but we'll see. Maybe he will. He certainly, I think, will be in their best 22. Jake Melksham had a really good run of form in about round 6 to 12, somewhere in that period, where he started kicking multiple goals, multiple weeks. Had a good season overall, but that little spell was really, really good. Tom Sparrow was ranked 51. Henderson, Thorsthorpe, he's probably the big one here, Thorsthorpe, to improve. Showed some really good signs. There's a lot of hype about him. He hasn't probably shown just enough yet. Harry Sharp, Bailey Laurie, and then 2 that didn't play in Mentha and McAdam. And then the 2 draft picks, Latrell Pickett, obviously Cozzy Pickett's cousin, I believe, and Thomas Matthews, who was picked 30 in the national draft. Key forwards, sorry, didn't mean to swap the page on you. It's been an area of concern for this Melbourne Demons team for the last few years especially. Bailey Fritsch, probably not someone that would be ideally playing key forward, but he's been hafting to just due to the fact that they don't have many other options down there. He plays as a lead-up forward, which is kind of a key forward sort of role, kind of similar to what Jamie Elliott did for Collingwood last year. And, yeah, he rates really highly. He does really well. Actually put together a really good season last year, back to close to his best when he kicked, 6 in a grand final. Harrison Petty's numbers okay, ranked 21. As a second target in the forward line, it's not terrible. And then adding Brody Myercheck is huge for this team, I think, because you know what you're going to get from Myercheck, and that's a contest every single time. In a team here where he can be probably your second or third target, it probably takes a bit of pressure off Bailey Fritsch a little bit and also helps out the whole forward line as a whole. Jacob Van Rooyen, his numbers not spectacular last year, and then Matthew Jefferson and Aidan Johnson both had a couple attempts at it, but didn't show huge numbers or consistency there. The midfield, this is where there's not many numbers, and this is where you'll be backfilling the positions through the general defenders and general forwards mainly into this midfield because they are lacking numbers. There's no doubt about it. Inside mids, the only three players that played as inside mids last season, whether here at Melbourne or a different club, are Jack Steele, Kashaya Pickett, and Jack Viney. It's not enough depth, is it? Riley Onley, obviously a rookie draft player, was also an inside mid, or is an inside mid. So I think Jack Steele and Pickett will be your 1 and 2 inside mids, with Jack Viney, obviously, when fit, would be there as well, although I believe he's injured now. I think we'll see Harvey Langford move into that inside mid role. If you're new around here, I've been pretty big on Harvey Langford all of last season. He's going to be an absolute star, in my opinion. So he'll jump in there as well, and then they'll just have to rotate other players and hope that they can stay fit throughout the season. So Steele, Pickett, great players. Harvey Langford, a young option to go in. Jack Viney, I don't know if we'll see Riley Onley. Ed Langdon out on the wing, can play back, can play forward, can play wing, can play tag. He kind of plays every role needed. So we'll see what they decide is best for him this season. Xavier Lindsay will probably stay on the wing position, I think. Maybe him on one wing, Jarf on the other, depending on the opposition and where they want Ed Langdon to line up. And then your ruck, obviously they've got the number 1 ruck in the competition for the last 5 years. Max Gawn, absolute superstar. Ruck changes are inbound this year, so we'll see what effect that has on Max Gawn and other ruckmen. But at the moment, he's still the number 1 ruck. He is getting on in age. There's probably not that many years left in his career. But at the moment, he's still number 1. They brought in Max Heath this year, across from St Kilda, as that backup ruckman. He may get some game time. Obviously, extended bench now, 5 players on the bench. We'll see if teams do start to play 2 ruckmen. Tom Campbell is your other backup. It's going to be him and Heath as the backup ones. And then Kalani White is your long-term prospect. I wouldn't expect to see him playing this season in the AFL. Time for the best 23 for Melbourne. This is how I drew it up. Obviously, some things have changed. Namely, Stephen May goes out. But this is how it was drawn up a couple of weeks ago by me. Full forward line, Bailey Fritsch, Harrison Petty, and Jake Melksham. I think that's reasonably solid. Half forward line, Cade Chandler, Brody Mychek, Jay Cully. As I said, Cade Chandler is probably the sort of player that will rotate through that inside mid role as well, as your 4th or 5th inside mid for a game. So plays a lot of half forward, but goes into the midfield and pinch hits in there a little bit. Your centre line, I've got Xavier Lindsay on one wing, Langdon on the other, with Harvey Langford in the middle. And then I've got Max Gawn, Jack Steele, and Kozzy Pickett in the centre. Half-back line, Christian Salem, with Daniel Turner, centre half-back, Jake Bowie on the half-back flank. Full-back line, Trent Rivers, Stephen May, and Tom McDonald. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, Stephen May is probably not in there at the moment, and Jake Lever would come in most circumstances. On the bench, I do have them playing the second ruck with Max Heath going there, but I think he also would be an option as a tall forward at times when they need some height down in that forward line. Obviously, Bailey Fritsch is not hugely tall. Mychek's not known for being a real big, tall forward. Jack Viney, when fit, would be in there. Jarf, as I said, potentially on a wing, maybe half-back line. Tom Sparrow and Caleb Windsor as your bench. The next in line, the 6 emergencies, I had Lever in as the number 1 emergency, but obviously I've got him in the best 23 replacing Stephen May at the moment. Following him, there's Tom Sparrow. Nope, I've already got him on the bench too. Scratch that. Thalsthorpe is next. As I said, there's plenty of hype around him, and expectations are that we'll see an improvement from him. Xavier Taylor, Harry Sharp, and Latrell Pickett, I think, will be certainly pushing for selection at some point this season for the Melbourne Demons. We'll jump into the draw, the fixture for the Demons this year. They play 5 home games, 6 away games, 12 neutral games. Any game against this fellow Victorian team at the MCG or Marvel is listed as neutral. 15 games they play in Victoria. 3 times they go to South Australia, and then 1 trip to WA, New South Wales, Queensland, as well as a trip to Tasmania and the Northern Territory. They have 2 byes, obviously, as every team does. Opening round, they don't play, and then again in round 16 they have a bye. The 6 teams that they meet twice in 2026 are the Bombers, who finished 15th last year, Hawthorn, who finished 4th, Bulldogs 9th, Fremantle 8th, Richmond 17th, and Gold Coast 6th. That's quite a difficult draw just on paper, just as soon as you look at that. For a team that did not play finals last year, to get stuck with 4 teams that did play finals in Hawthorn, Bulldogs, Fremantle, and, Bulldogs didn't play finals. This year they would have, now that there's 10 teams in finals, but still, 4 teams that you'd think will be right in contention of finals this year. They do get Richmond twice and Essendon twice, which is quite a luxury, I guess. Having said that, they did lose to Essendon last year in Gather Round, which they play Essendon again this year at Gather Round. So it's on paper, just straight look at that. It's not a great draw, I don't think, for Melbourne, for a team that finished 14th on the ladder. And then we chuck in the fact that, so I ran some numbers. If you want to know the exact way I ran the numbers, it's in a podcast episode last year that I did when the fixture dropped, so sometime in October, November area, analysing the full fixture, and it goes by who you play, where you play them, and Melbourne came up as the 5th hardest draw in the competition, so Gold Coast, Carlton, Essendon, Bulldogs, and then Melbourne 5th, Collingwood 6th. So they haven't got a great draw. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be quite difficult for them. And I think with their young list, that only makes it even harder. So that's where I have Melbourne sitting. I am interested in all your thoughts. Let me know if I made any blues with the best 23. Depth chart, if I missed anyone that you thought should be higher. Let me know how Melbourne will go in 2026. Don't forget to go check out all the socials. We have Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Blue Sky. There might be more that I'm missing. Just search up All Aussie Rules. You'll find us all over the place. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We do 2 podcasts every single week as well, so go check them out. A lot of pre-season content coming out. Already out and still to come. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you leave a comment and like this video. And I appreciate you for being here. Hope you enjoyed it. And I will catch you on the next one.